Welcome everyone, Arthur Bablis here. Congratulations for getting to the Conscious Evolution Show, the podcast, partly evolved from the inside our community. And we're going to be coming to you here, we're going to be having discussions and conscious conversations, and our whole purpose is to get you thinking about your thinking, to ask you some questions so you can discover decisions that you need to make in order for you to start moving your life forward. How do you bring in more joy, more love, more happiness, more success into your life? You see, leadership, success and happiness, it doesn't just happen, it's cause and effect. Being a world-class therapist, an extraordinary coach and heart-centered healer requires you to do the inner work, to continually grow and evolve. In this podcast, I'm going to share with you what I've learned on my journey in this wonderful field, blending modern science, traditional wisdoms and spiritual laws to help you to discover that essence inside of you and ask yourself the questions to help you to finally break through. Here's a question: who would you be, what would you do, and how would you feel if you already had blank? Think about that. This podcast is going to help you fill in the blanks. This is Arthur Bablis. Welcome everyone, Arthur Bablis here, and it's that time again. It is the Conscious Evolution Show, and we've got an awesome, I've run out of words to describe the speaker we're going to have a conversation today. She's not only a pioneer in this industry in the work of complementary medicine, personal growth, human performance. She's been doing some amazing work in this field. She's a personal friend. I've known her now for about 7 years, and I just love the work she does. But more on her later on. Welcome. It's been a while since we've been here on the live channels with our show. I've been away. I've been on a holiday and a family trip and had a wedding in Greece. It was not my big fat Greek wedding, but it was like that. It was an extravaganza. My niece got married, so all the best wishes to my niece. And husband, and had a wonderful a trip over there, connecting with family, brothers, cousins, and everyone. And then when everyone came back, I stayed for a couple of weeks and did my own thing, and just went on my own little pilgrimage and just did my own soul searching again. And you know, and we're going to have a chat with this wonderful human being in a second. We're on early. I just had a quick chat, and I think we set the frame about what we're going to be talking about, because you know there's a reason why we do what we do, and I don't think there's enough of us doing the work that we do, and the impact that it has on helping people shift their thinking and to be able to make better decisions in life, to become better quality people, and then ultimately have that ripple effect affect other people in their lives. So guys, if you're watching live, let us know if you're watching live, where you're from. We're streaming this to our business page on Facebook, my personal, my business profile as well on YouTube, and if you catch on replay, a replay as well. So anyway, they're all the technical things, the logistics. So I'm just getting used to this, my new tech. But let me introduce this person. As I said, has been in this field of health and wellness for over 2 decades. And so I love it when I speak to people with that much experience, because we look back and we can understand where we've come from, how humanity has changed and what's important to us. And regardless of all those changes, I think basic human needs have been the same. And more than ever today, highlighting the reason I'm doing what we do. So this person here, she is a NLP master trainer. I think she's the only woman who's a master trainer in NLP and a master trainer hypnosis here in Australia. She, as I said, been in this field for the last 30 decades. She's got her own institute or college who trains therapists and people in the industry want to level themselves up with these wonderful tools and modalities of human performance and human change. Her name is Genevieve Genevieve Light. Bring her down. Give her a round of applause. Jen, come on down. There we go. Jen's in the house. Everyone's screaming, yes, welcome, Jen. Jen from Soul Anchorage, thank you so much for coming in and spending some time. I know time is valuable. You're on and off your calls with your clients, with your students and your courses, and we've been meaning to get together for a while, and we just got on early and said we just connected and thought, you know what, it's been too long. And you're looking younger. I don't know what you're doing, but you're looking much younger than before. How have you been, Jen?
I'm doing all the things that we say that we're going to do. I've been really, really well, Arthur, and it's an absolute pleasure to connect with you again. And I feel very honoured to be invited to be a guest on your podcast for a second time.
Well, We had such a wonderful time the first time. We said we've got to have part 2, and it's taken us a while to get to part 2. So after this, we might even do a part 3. We might then end up doing some stuff together, Jen. Who knows?
Yeah.
But tell us, what's been happening for you? I mean, 2024, we're halfway through 2024, right? And it's just gone like that. So how's the year been for you? What have you... what are your awarenesses? What's your learnings? What are you picking up? What's going on in the industry? And then, more importantly, how is what we do supporting where we're headed as humanity, in your opinion?
What have I? Oh, that's a lot of questions all in one there, Arthur.
All right, so I'll just sit back and give you the microphone then.
I've had as I was saying before we actually came on live, it's been a really big learning year for me. So instead of having New Year's resolutions around, my physicality and all of that kind of stuff, I set my New Year's resolution to really work on having very strong boundaries. As you know, that's something that we always teach is, the importance of having strong boundaries. And as my children have been growing into young adults, and with all of those changes of life, we really need to take the time to reflect and revisit as to whether or not our boundaries are still appropriate and working for us. So I've had a massive year of reflecting on my boundaries and resetting boundaries. The other big learning for me around doing this, growing up in a environment as you have as well, that we grew up with this belief that having...
I'm going to take some notes. Is that all right? Because you're saying some good stuff. See, I'm learning all the time. Look, pen and paper, notes. I'm writing down boundaries. Go on.
So, we grew up in a generation where having good, strong boundaries, we were told that that was selfish and that we should constantly be accommodating the needs of other people. And I've had a real recognition around the fact that it's so disempowering to other people, having that level of flexibility, not only to ourselves, but we tend to enable others to stop growing in a lot of ways. Whereas by enforcing our boundaries, we're actually doing a service to others because we're supporting them in building their resiliences and creating boundaries for themselves as well.
Yeah, look, I love what you're saying, and I think this discussion we're having is actually leading into the topic. We're going to be talking about NLP as a human right, and the importance of this technology, these learnings, the ability to be able to start thinking differently. What does it mean for a human being? And what we're talking about now is leading into that, Jen, because with what you're saying, when people don't have boundaries and they found themselves in the role, which, how many here, just put your hand up, are people pleasers. We're doing everything for everyone else. We have very loose boundaries. That comes from an insecurity from within ourselves, or a lack of self-worth, or not knowing what is our purpose or what we're here for. And really, when you set clear boundaries, the only reason you would know is people have clear boundaries because they have clarity and a clear sense of purpose. And now I get, when I said you're looking younger, that makes sense because right, the places around the world which are called blue zones, where people live past 100 years of age, and Island of Icarus, which is near Mykonos in Greece, Sardinia, and we went to the Amalfi Coast as well too, and there's 9 factors. They've done research. It's called the Power 9. 9 factors, 9 variables that they believe have led to people living a longer life. And do you know the first variable, Jen? People in those areas wake up with a sense of purpose. And the studies have shown when you have a sense of purpose, you can connect with it, it can add 15 years to your life.
Wow.
And the work we're doing is anti-aging. Look at you.
I look way younger than I did when I was 40.
So having a clear set of boundaries for me means, there's a complex equivalence, right? That you have a clear sense of purpose. You're connected to that. You're connected to your vision, your purpose. And why is NLP a human right? Because that's the technology that helps people do that.
Yeah, 100%. Having the ability to take control of your thoughts and your emotions and behaviors. There are the things that we strive to teach our children all the time that they're growing up, yet we aren't able to role model it congruently because we don't know how to do it for ourselves.
All right, so talk to me. So, NLP is a human, right? You're a pioneer in this field, like you're a leading trainer, and your organisation, Soul Anchorage, is doing some wonderful work with the programs that you've put together. Tell me, where do you see this industry going? Because we've had, the last, let alone 20 years, the last 5 or 6 years, some major change pre-COVID and after, during COVID and after COVID. This industry of coaches, therapists and healers, and the illusion, do a weekend course, then you go out there and we're going to help you create 6-figure incomes, and it's all you need is clients. Or, every business coach you talk to is about getting clients and clients. Don't worry about delivering a product. As soon as you get a client, you'll deliver. And yet, if you don't know what to do, it actually affects the industry. For me, that's crap. I would not jeopardize the work that I do with a client over getting the client. Let me become competent at what I do, because I've got for me, a calling to serve someone. If I'm not clear with the tools, why would I get a client? All right. So tell me your thought on that.
Well, my thought on that is, when we think about the evolution of NLP and where it started, NLP was originally only used in therapy, because that's where it comes from, the modeling of Milton Erickson and the modeling of Virginia Satir and Fritz Perls and, psychoanalysts. And so originally it was only used in therapy. And then with the big boom of the coaching industry, which I think is a great industry, but it has created a couple of different arms to it. You've got what you're talking about, which is, we're going to teach you how to build a 6-figure business in 30 days. And, and it's all that motivation around, the dollars rather than the level of competency in relation to this. And I do think that as far as NLP being a fundamental human right, I mean, everybody has the right to make informed choices about their mental and emotional well-being. And where I see the industry going is, I think there's been a really big shift around looking at what is the purpose of NLP in itself, not only the people who are using it in 100%. Their businesses, but what is the purpose of NLP itself. And my hope, and I'm not sure that this is where, everybody would be wanting to go, is that as we implement it more in education and in health, and moving from the practitioner level actually into the university teaching level, I mean, my goal is to see NLP techniques taught in wellbeing classes in primary schools and high schools.
100%.
Not as NLP necessarily, but just as life skills.
Love it. 100% agree with you. Yeah. How many of our graduates come out of our trainings and say this should be taught in schools?
Or if only I knew this way back then.
That's right. And so, I think, and you're right, when you look at NLP, it's come from the therapeutic model, then moved into a communication, sales, corporate, business model, and people look at it as a way of a success system, modeling success, modeling the thinking, the actions, the process, the behaviors to be able to get certain results in life. So if you want results, this is for the successful people. And they've been quite with the ability of using language, and this is, I suppose, where the way you perceive it is where NLP may have various different connotations, right? They've used language to be able to position themselves like, if you don't do this, you're not going to be successful, right? And this is only for successful people. And if you're resourceful, you're going to afford it and you're going to find a way. If it's that good, then everyone should be doing it. It's a life skills training program. Our kids go to school and learn academic stuff, maths, how to count, how to read, but they don't learn life skills. They don't learn how to deal with the ups and downs of life, what happens, the emotional roller coaster, and they come out of school and it's like, what? And so what are we going to say, this is only if you are at that position and you want to be successful, hey, it's a life skill. I love it. It should be taught in schools, and that's my vision as well too, Jen, to be able to put this in the hands of everyone and not exclude them thinking that only if you're part of an exclusive club or you're part of the success mindset people or you earn a certain money, it's for you. It's for everyone, in my view.
Well, this is what the whole movement towards emotional intelligence, which was in the, 90s?
Mm.
There was this whole movement talking about the need to be emotionally intelligent. But how do we be emotionally intelligent if we don't understand why we think the way that we think? And not only that, as you know, with a lot of the techniques that we are teaching, NLP is just the how-to. Nothing in NLP comes from NLP. It's all comes from psychology and behavioral science and everything else, and neuroscience. So realistically, everything that we do in NLP and the techniques and processes that we teach are the way that we do things naturally. We've just given it a structure so that we can facilitate getting the result more quickly. And everyone has the ability to do what we do naturally as a human being. And when we think about, success, everyone has the capacity to have success, because often success comes from that ability to manage your own mental and emotional well-being. Because it's all about how we think. If we believe we can do it, then we can do it. We can make stuff happen. And as we know, the language we use it does absolutely describe the world that we live in through our own eyes, but it also creates the reality that we live in as well. And that's the power of language in relation to NLP is we're actually programming ourselves through the words that we choose to use, which relates to the lens in which we see reality.
Yeah, 100%. Tell me, because we agree with that, we know that it's your language is your land gauge, how you gauge your landscape. Remember our good old mentor Tad used to say that, language, land gauge, how you gauge your landscape. So language is how we describe our world, and I love how you said it's also how we can create the world that we want to live in. But we need to learn how to use our language. And so then what's the step before the language? It's you being the thinker of the thoughts to understand how to use those thoughts. So NLP is more than that. I think a lot of people don't get it. I think for me, NLP goes beyond the language, and then goes, depending who you're with and how you learn. And I know that's about you, soul anchorage. It's the next level with doing this stuff. It's not just this the linguistic, physical level. Let's look beyond that. So we look at more of the energetics, the esoterics, the metaphysical stuff to see what, and this is what NLP does. It helps you to open your mind and the thinking so you can understand your creator of the thoughts, so you can understand the power that you have. And we bring in all these other philosophies, right, from Hawaiian Huna and other metaphysical studies, and not many people do that with their training. So you just have, I'm not saying a limited view, a view which is just within this level, right? But if you can have this view, which also has this as well, then you've got a much more expanded opportunity of being able to make sense of the bigger pie as opposed to the smaller pie of consciousness.
Absolutely. And that mind-body connection, is so important, because you can go to therapies, you can go to trainings where they're focusing on the cognitive. So if you can go to a therapy and you can resolve something consciously, it doesn't change the fact that it's stored in the body. And vice versa. You can go to fully physical therapy and resolve something in the body, but the mind's going to recreate the problem in the body. So, and if we work only consciously and we can rationalize what's, the history or the trauma or the experience in the past, and don't release it from the body, that's going to affect our ability to stay positive in our thinking.
Mm.
So they're
So then
so connected that we have to be working with both levels at exactly the same time to get that integration to fully heal anything or resolve.
So I love what you're saying there. So we've got people out there who, just clear your limiting belief, change your thoughts, think positive, and you'll be able to get this. And I'll use, I suppose, NLP literally in terms of using language to get that cognitive result. He said, and I'm not saying that is not a good piece. It's a piece.
Yes.
But there's many more pieces to the puzzle. And some people, well, not necessarily fail to recognise that piece. They don't make people aware that there's possibly other pieces. And then people fall into this perception that this is what that is. And if you're not doing this, then yeah, I love what you're saying. I 100% agree about that.
I mean, I think the somatics are so important, because they have a language of their own. And this is what we talk about as far as incongruence goes. If we're looking at the body and we're hearing the words, often there's a mismatch between what the body is communicating to us and what the words are that are coming out of somebody's mouth. So if we can't integrate, like they say, knowledge is only knowledge until you embody it, and that's when it becomes wisdom. You can't walk the talk if you don't embody the talk. And I think that's really important.
Love it. Because we have a lot of success talkers, some spiritual talkers, some health talkers, some relationship talkers, and I think the heart's in the right place because the intention is to help people.
Yeah.
And it's with a piece. But I suppose our job is to ensure that create an awareness that there's more pieces to the puzzle. How many pieces do you need to be able to put the image that's important for you to be able to become aligned, congruent, authentic, to move to your next step, whatever that may be.
Yeah. And I think that that's one of the issues, like you were saying, with education. We're teaching people how to regurgitate information and, take information in. And then the way that we test them is through the regurgitation of what they've been told. And we teach the kids math and we teach them phys ed, but we don't teach them how to think at all. And I think that the destigmatization of mental illness is excellent. But when we think about the level of suggestibility that people have, and then you look at the enormous increase in diagnoses of anxiety and depression, I'm pretty sure there's a correlation because we're talking about it all the time. And people are accepting the suggestion that maybe it applies to them. And I think that if we can't find the right balance, we're actually doing a really massive disservice to our communities.
So then what's the solution? How are you going about what you're doing, and you're leaving your footprint in terms of with the work that you do, and so what are the things that you'd like to implement, put out there, and tell us what you're doing and what can let people know about who are listening and watching?
Yeah. Well, my focus is on education and health. So what I do is I offer scholarships to people working in health and people working in education. Also people working in community services, so in housing and because I think we need to collect evidence around the efficacy of what we're doing. And by evidence, I mean hard data. So my goal at the moment is I'm going around and collecting a lot of hard data from lots of people. And I've been in contact with I am a approved supervisor for the Education and Training Directorate. So I've been communicating a lot with the Education Directorate around how do we get these skills into the ground level. So there's potential there to be offering NLP trainings. They may need to be tweaked a little bit, specifically for either teacher training education and for it to be offered as an elective. And that might be slightly different to what's being offered to nurses who are at university doing their qualifications, so that they can, I mean, we've got massive issues with retention in our health and our education workforces, working with the unions as well around really targeting their primary concerns. So really tailoring things so that people can see the benefits of it. And as we know, anyone who does these trainings, there is a massive ripple effect, because not only do we, talking about you and I, train in such a way that we really install this stuff at the unconscious level by using our skills in NLP and in hypnosis to ensure that when people leave the training, it's already embodied. So people are using it unconsciously. So we've gotten them from that, unconscious incompetence through to unconscious competence within the time frame of when we're running the trainings. So people are already leaving with it in their cells. That effect is incredible. And
I love
I think that's get a lot of our referrals from, is people
100%. And I love what you said there, right? And it's interesting because you probably have the same thing. People come out of the training and think, oh my God, there was just so much there. Is it in my body? Have I learnt it? And I've had so many people who it's until they are challenged or they put themselves in an environment where suddenly all the tools that they'd learnt are coming to the forefront and they're implementing them and making better decisions, or being mentors and helping other people with similar scenarios. It's like, oh my God, I didn't realize that all that stuff was there. It was already there. So there's a method to, some people say, madness of the way it's delivered and instilled at an unconscious level, so people can get from that they don't know that they don't know to they don't know that they do know.
That's it, spot on.
All right.
And then you get all this feedback around, I went for this interview, or I had my, 6-monthly review, or I had this interaction and it was so different, because they're not coming from a place of having all of their baggage that is impacting on the way that they see the stimulus. Because the stimulus is just the stimulus until we attach a whole lot of other meaning to it, and being able to look at things with real clarity and being able to see it for exactly what it is creates a different response.
Yeah, 100%. And Viktor Frankl, who wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, right? His quote was, between stimulus and response, there's a gap. And in that gap is where you have your freedom. You have the freedom to choose. But people haven't learnt how to use this wonderful resource to the limit that we know. How much is there that we don't know yet in terms of how to use a brain? But to the capacity that we do know, we haven't learned how to use that resource to be able to maximize that gap, to choose in a much more effective way to help them be moving forward as opposed to moving backward. So looking at the obstacle, not necessarily as oh my God, it's an obstacle, universe is giving me a sign, it's not for me. Is it possible the universe gave you a sign that it is for you? Like, the obstacle is the way. That's Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius said that, right? It's one of his quotes. The impediment becomes the way. What's in the way becomes the way. And in positive psychology, today they call that adversarial growth. Like, you grow from your adversity. Like, you got post-traumatic stress syndrome. This is post-traumatic growth syndrome. It is a phenomenon they use.
Yeah, I love it. And and we've known for, centuries, the only way to grow is to step out of the comfort zone. And people are staying in the comfort zone because it's familiar, but it's far from comfortable. Far from comfortable. There's a real stuckness there. And then you get all of the reasons. It's not my fault. If only, my parents this, or if only my boss stood this, or could see how hard I worked, or whatever it is. or I can't help it. I just react that way. So, and people are so disempowered.
Yeah, 100%. And like we know, we've learnt, and it's interesting, I've got a thought on this, and maybe you give me some feedback here, right? That we say magic happens outside your comfort zone, and you need to be stretched outside of your comfort zone to grow. And I think at one stage in a different era when we were growing from a different perspective, that worked. But for me today, when I think about what everyone's gone through, we quickly fall into that sympathetic response and that fight or flight response. My thought is when you're outside the comfort zone, you're in, you're already in lockdown. People in sympathetic, we know they grow there, but they're already going to be shutting off. And I know you get the results. Go with me here, right? You get the results because you might not necessarily push them right out of the comfort zone. Push people to the edge of the comfort zone and make the edge the new middle.
Yeah, I like that.
What if you're able to grow without needing to be in fight or flight?
Yes.
What if you can expand your life, your results, your thinking, what you're tracking life without needing to go in sympathetic, So what I know you do, and you do it unconsciously because you don't know you know this stuff. And me too. It's like it happens, is what people say, right? Yeah. So we push them because of the work. We understand that when I say what people need, we've been there, we've gone through it. We're not just, it's not our first time around the sun, right? So on an unconscious way, we're able to help people get to the edge and know that at that point, then they're the most malleable. We can push them further or help them to learn these techniques at that point where they make that new edge now the new middle. So the whole comfort zone is expanded. You're still in the middle of your comfort zone, but you're got a bigger comfort zone than before.
Yeah, I really love that analogy. And I think there's a difference between choosing to step out and being forced to step out.
Yeah, love that too, yeah.
So with the whole lockdowns and COVID and all of that trauma, really, that occurred during that time, people were forced out. And I think that there was so much fear that people were just going, just let me back in there. I just want everything to be back the way that it was. And I think fewer people went, okay, well, now here's an opportunity for me to reflect and think about what I really want, because everything that I believed was safe, secure, and predictable has been taken away from me. But I love that idea of, and I think we do that a lot in our coaching, is we don't push them way out. We just kind of get them to that edge, and then they have options.
And I'm going to add what you said there, because we get them to the edge to a point where now they make their own decision to step further. We don't put them to a position where, come on, you got to get out there or I'm not going to work with you. Yes. If you're not going to get out your comfort zone, you're not for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's that conscious
income? Yeah. It's that gentle, and during that whole time that we're leading them to the edge, I think leading might be a nicer way of for me thinking about it, is leading them to the edge. That whole time we're building rapport and super effective rapport, because we know how to do that, and because we really care and we really believe in their capability and the infinite possibilities that are available to them.
And there's a wonderful quote from Wayne Dyer. He said, like, when you're walking on the edge, you're walking on the edge of personal growth. You're walking on the edge of financial growth, business growth, relationship growth. You're walking on the edge of spiritual growth.
Yeah, it's all there together, because they're so interconnected. As we say, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So you can't.
I've got to tell you, I'm now thinking, I was in Greece, right? I was in Naxos and I hired a car. Now I'm thinking about what happened to me, because we're talking about the edge here, Jen. This is ad lib now, off the cuff. Help me out here. And I drove on up a mountain, the roads in Greece, right, like around the mountain, just full drop on edges, and hardly have them. Most of them don't have like a railing. And I went to this place, these old towns in Naxos, which are beautiful. And my sister said, and everyone else are going, go to this place called Apiranthos, which is the top of Naxos, and you can see everything. And I got there, and it's wonderful. And I thought I'd get to the north side of the island. And as I left, I was, and I'm very conscious when I'm driving overseas. I'm beeping around the corners, going slow on the other side of the road. And I'm taking this corner around a bend on a huge, like, mountain drop. And this other lady comes from the other side, skids, hits me on the side, like in the driver's side. So I had an accident overseas in Greece. Oh my God. Talk about insurance companies and everything else in Greece, right? All the Greeks. Had this accident, and my car ended up not perched, but was parked or sort of stopped right on the edge. And I got out, and I was, oh my God. And now having this chat is getting me to think about the metaphor. What did it mean for me? Because after that, that's when I went to, did my little pilgrimage to the monasteries and everything else, and to rethink about what is that we do? What's the next step? Because with every next step, there's next level of growth, the next level of boundaries, and you said that you did that early in the year in terms of what you want to do. And I think when not so much the people that get it, but if you're in this industry where you're constantly evolving, I think that's a requirement once a year that you take that reflection to see where you're at and what's your next step. And the masses stay in doing the same thing over and over and over. And before you know it, we're out of COVID. It's been like 3 or 4 years out of COVID. So that was like, 2019. That's like 6 years ago now, almost 5, 6 years ago. And some people are still there.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. It's that constant ability to reflect and reassess. Because my goals 5 years ago are they are not relevant at all. Before I started doing this work, like if I look 7 years ago, it's just like I did NLP to be a better teacher at TAFE. Not in my wildest dreams was I going to go on to be a trainer, let alone a master trainer. And because those things weren't possible for me before I did my.
Well, they were there, but they weren't in your sphere of possibilities from your thinking. And that's the beauty of expanding your thinking. You open up to other possibilities. So what is available for everyone else who's listening today that they're not aware of yet because their level of thinking is not a good or bad, it's just where it is. If they expanded that, what opens up to them?
And that's the other thing in relation to, letting go of obligation and, perceived obligation and responsibility. Because realistically, everybody's here for a reason. The chances of being born on this earth as we are is like, I don't know, I think it's 15 billion to 1. So everybody is here with a purpose. They come with a purpose, and we do forget what it is because we get trapped or lost in the humdrum of life and what we think we're meant to be. And unless we can clear all of that, those misconceptions, we're never going to be who we were meant to be. And that's why, everybody needs to have this, Arthur.
100% agree. I'm just sitting here listening to you, and that's what it's about, Jen. And look, there's wonderful people out there. There's for the want of a better word, there's a cohort. There's an army of people like ourselves who provide these wonderful trainings and providing people the opportunities. And ultimately, whatever their intention is, they're providing this opportunity for people. People need to take it, though. People need to take the step. And there's still so many people in the masses aren't. I heard the other day, and you talked about being a TAFE teacher. I heard the other day that the Black Dog released figures about teachers, like more than half of them, like over 55, close to 6%, want to leave their profession, and close to 70, 80% are suffering from depression because of their roles and, the responsibility they have to be able to support kids. And sure, we have a curriculum, a system they have to follow, but how can that be evolve? And I love what you're doing, because you can work with it at the grassroots, and maybe that's where I'm working with individuals, get them in. But I love you're looking to work at this system level, because long term, to have change, if that doesn't change, there's a
Absolutely.
lot of work that has to be done here.
And I think I mean, the issue with the way that we teach our teachers is the focus is on the pedagogy. So it's actually about, how do we teach? How do we teach subjects? I mean, the education system is the only system that isn't using the format system as far as running trainings, the why, what, how, what if. And all of the why, how, what ifs, which is 75% of our students, are disenfranchised because the school doesn't support their style of learning. I think one of the other really big issues with our teacher trainings is we don't teach our teachers how to build rapport. We don't teach our teachers how to manage behaviours in the classroom. None of that is part of their curriculum. And I know from my experiences at school, the teachers that I learned the most from were the ones that I liked. And it's not actually that hard to build rapport. They simply don't know how to do it. And if they were able to build rapport, then they're all going to have a much better time in the classroom and also within the faculties. So I think that we are disenfranchising our teachers, and they all want to make a difference. That's why they go through what they go through, all of those years of training. They actually want to make a difference. Then they come into the education environment, and the education environment doesn't support them in being that difference. And then they go, okay, well, I'm obviously not right for this job. Like you're saying, oh, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Come across a roadblock, and they think it's a sign from the universe that, the number of teachers that are leaving the profession and going into tutoring is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because they can build those one-on-one relationships.
And they're not governed by certain rules and regulations of the department, that things have to be done a certain way.
Yeah. But the stuff that we teach, they can still teach those things and those subjects, but enjoy doing it because through the relationships they're actually building with their students, they can still include a why, and, incorporate that into their formatting. But as we know, the education system has changed very little since the industrial age, and it was developed to support people in working industries. But we need to teach our kids how to think. There are no factories; it's all automated.
That's right. And look, with what you just said, getting close to, we've been in nearly 50 minutes, but you said, I think the secret is how do we help people bring more joy in their life with what they're doing?
Absolutely.
Because when when you have joy about with what you're doing, then it's a different energy. There's a different focus. Something else is coming out of you. You become magnetic. You attract people that want to be able to change, and you're becoming that first domino in that domino effect of change. And so you run a 2-day workshop, right, to help people connect to that joy, that passion and purpose. With Dr. Marley Watt, you do the two together. Do you do that together? Have you got one coming up?
We do. We've got one. I think it's the 26th and 27th of October.
Okay, all right. It's around the corner, a couple of months. So tell me about that. What else have you got coming up? Because, if people want to reach out and find out more about you, they can look at Soul Anchorage, look you up personally, Genevieve Lai, Soul Anchorage, connect with her. You've got your business page, your personal page, and you've got did you just run a hypnosis, or you got one coming?
I just ran one, and we've got one coming up in November the 15th to the 17th.
Okay. All right. Well, what's the next thing that we can tell people about? They can find you and maybe connect with you and get more information.
Oh, look, I'll put my socials in the event.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
the
we'll
event.
put them in the links. Oh, well, there you go. Already in there. Thanks. Patricia's
Oh,
already
there
put
you
in
go.
your
Oh, look, she's on.
soilanchorage.com.au. Your website's already there and your Facebook's there. Awesome. And your LinkedIn's there.
Oh my
Instagram's there.
So it's all there.
Yeah.
And the only two trainings that we have left this year is we start pracking on the 7th of September. Then we've got the Step Into Your Power in October and the 3-day hypno in
Okay. Well, guys, if as you're listening, I mean, we've gone 50 minutes. We might have to do a part 3 and maybe make it more specific, like the education system. What are the things? Maybe give some tools and tips for people that may be in the industry to be able to get them thinking about what's possible for them to be able to bring joy back in their life and get a better result impact with the people that they teach, the students that they teach. And it's not just teachers of kids, teachers of little kids and big kids, adults, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I think whether you're in adult education or traditional high school or primary school, anyone in this field, and you don't have to be in the education field. We're all in the education field. As a parent, we're educating. In any role that we have, we're educating, all right? Everyone needs to have these skills. And so maybe we'll do a part 3. But Jen, thank you so much for coming along. If anyone wants to reach out for Jen, please, we've got her details in the links, whether you're listening on Facebook or YouTube. Go to a website, go to a LinkedIn, go to Instagram, connect. I'm sure they're going to have a wonderful conversation when they connect with you, Jen. Thank you so much for being here. Is there one last thing, if you were to give people 1, 2, or 3, I don't know whether that's 1, 2, or 3, what do you think you need to leave them with so they can start pondering to make the next decision with integrity as they move forward in their life?
Yeah. Be you. You have everything that you need. And be discerning.
Be discerning. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, really, I think it's important that if you want to do this kind of training, to think about it. Not all NLP trainings are the same, as you and I know, Arthur. I think the thing that makes them different is, we teach the same competencies. The thing that makes the training unique is the trainer. So make sure you resonate with the person who's running the training, because that's where you'll get the best result.
Yeah. I'm going to maybe go a little bit longer, because you said the word discerning. And when I think about the word discerning, to discern, we need to have worked with our filtering mechanism, because discernment is a filtering process. That's what we do in NLP, help you to enhance your filtering process. So you'll come out being able to be more discerning in a more appropriate way than you have been.
And in a more authentic way for yourself.
Yeah.
And filter out all the should, could, must.
Stop shooting all over yourself, right? Yeah. Jen, thank you so much. We're going to say goodbye. Guys, thank you so much for listening, wherever you're listening. Hang there, Jen, so we can have a chat afterwards. Guys, thank you so much. We'll be back very soon, continuing our podcast series on a fortnightly basis. We've got some interesting speakers coming up, and we're going to interview maybe Jen can interview some of her graduates, so you can see where they've come from, where they've been. We're going to be doing that, so you guys can actually be aware of what's possible. It's fine us coming up here having a chat, but unless we start having a chat to the people who've come through it and where they were before and where they are now, then people don't necessarily think it's possible for them. So Jen, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you in a fortnight with our next show. Take care wherever you're listening from. Talk to you soon.